What God has for you is in deep water. My only regret is that I didn't go deeper. That's my biggest regret. I didn't believe in me enough.
Hey guys, I am just super excited. We are doing a first, okay? So this is our blueprint to launching deeper mini masterclass, because what we realize is that we do master classes at least once or twice a year, but in between there's a lot of things that we need to cover. So what we decided to do is to start doing mini master classes. This year, we are leaning heavy into mental health, mental wellness, mindset, because it is difficult to launch deeper and not deal with mindset. It's difficult to tell people, hey, go beyond what you're used to doing, to go out there and just launch deeper and not deal with limiting beliefs. So we strongly believe in 2023 that in order to launch deeper, we have to deal with mindset. We have to deal with mental wellness. So we are bringing to the stage, the Launching Deeper stage, Dr. Kristie Norwood.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say I love what you're doing. This idea of launching deeper is so important. So thank you for sharing this space with me.
Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you. I tell you, and I have to look at this because, I don't want to mess this up. So, Dr. Kristie Norwood is a licensed clinical psychologist. She is a licensed clinical psychologist. On top of that, she is the director of student counseling centers at Hampton University. So, Kristie is packed. She's loaded. She is I can't think of anyone else that I would want to sit down with and talk about mindset, mental wellness, and how important that is. So I want I sit down with people that I say are masters, and
Yeah.
I look at some of the things you are doing, how you're helping children, how you've helped veterans. I
Mm,
mean, it's amazing.
thank
So
you.
give us just a little bit about what you do and the work and how important it is to deal with that mental wellness and mindset.
Yeah, so my background as a psychologist, I spent almost 10 years working in the federal system with military veterans. So many veterans who had experienced trauma. So working with trauma survivors, dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, helping them realize how can I sort of get my life back in the way that is meaningful for them. And so that work was really, really important. And then God called me to Hampton University, where it may seem different, but I'm still able to help individuals work through their transition period,
Mm.
right? So that young adult time is just so sensitive. It's such an important time, right? Where individuals are learning about themselves and growing. And so I get to share that space with them in such a critical time. And then, in addition to that, I have a few clients that I work with in private practice. So I get to help individuals in the community as well, just to understand the importance of mental health and mental wellness, and how we can make that a part of kind of our everyday discussion and our everyday lives.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And I think, the thing I think happened is COVID
Hmm.
really shined this bright light on
Yes.
mental health and mental
Hmm.
wellness. And I think it was the first time that we the world stopped.
Yeah.
And I think people had to sit with themselves.
Mhm.
They had to sit in their situation.
Mhm.
It was just a period where the world shut down.
Mhm.
And did you see an uptick in just dealing with that whole
Yeah.
mental health space
Mhm.
during COVID?
Absolutely. I saw it, I felt it, right?
Yeah.
So for myself, even just like sitting with what does this mean, right? How is this, just to sort of figure out myself and lean into me? Like, what am
Yeah.
I feeling? What am I thinking? And then I think with clients, I started to see folks sort of figure out what's important to me. Right.
Yeah.
So when we think about that in the context of launching deeper and moving in purpose, how do I move forward? What's important to me? Maybe I've been moving at 100 miles an hour. Do I want to do that after this period of time is over? And so
Yeah.
we saw people stop because they had to,
Mhm.
but that stopping caused reflection. It also caused people to recognize, wait, maybe I've been depressed this whole time, but I've been so busy that I haven't had a chance to really sit with that. Maybe, I'm dealing with anxiety, but I've never taken the space to actually be able to like sit with that and what that feels like in my body.
One thing that, I noticed during COVID,
Mhm.
again, yes, that uptick dealing with mental wellness
Mhm.
and, you know, people for the first time, again, sitting with themselves
Mhm.
and, you know, realizing that, there are a lot of issues
Mhm.
that they're dealing with. I mean,
Yeah.
so the other flip side of that is you had a lot of people that said, you know what, I feel devalued. I'm
Mhm.
doing this job. I'm working. I'm going to this job every day, spending some 12, 15 hours at
Mhm.
some of these, the these jobs and careers that people have been in,
Sure.
and they're like, I want to do something myself.
Mhm.
If I'm going to deal with this headache,
Yeah.
why not start my own business?
Absolutely.
So you have this uptick in
Mhm.
entrepreneurship and solopreneurs and people
Mhm.
starting their business.
Yeah.
So the thing I see is that you have all these people starting their business.
Mhm.
You have this uptick in mental health issues.
Yeah.
So it's like a perfect storm. You're
Mhm.
you're starting your business,
Right.
but you're dealing with maybe some traumatic things that happened in your childhood.
Yeah.
So what I've realized is that it's so difficult to launch deeper, be a
Mhm.
healthy
Mhm.
CEO or owner, solopreneur,
Yeah.
entrepreneur, when you're still dealing with things that have happened in your childhood, things
Mhm.
that have happened just in life.
Yeah.
Where do you see that as an issue? Like, I'm trying to launch deeper. I want to
Mhm.
start my own business, but then at the same time, there's this uptick in,
Yeah.
yeah, just dealing with
Yeah, that's such a good question because, the pandemic gave us a chance to stop, right? Intentionally.
right.
We were forced to stop.
Yeah.
But I think the lesson in it when you talk about, entrepreneurial strategies and how to be successful and launching deeper, I think the lesson from that is how can I continue to do that? Not being forced and being restricted in my
Mm.
house, right? But it may mean every Saturday from 9 to 11, I need to totally unplug from social media. I need to not respond to text messages. And I need to carve out that intentional time for me to be with God, for me to be with myself, right?
Oh,
For
that's
me to meditate. And so I think some of the lessons, because you can make as much money as you want, but that
yeah,
doesn't mean you're going to be happy, right?
absolutely.
And so happiness and launching deeper really is
Mm.
about that internal sense of fulfillment.
Yeah,
And so a big piece of that is taking that intentional space to sit with yourself, sit with your emotions, and then being able to serve others. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I just did this YouTube thing
Yeah.
about not bleeding on others. And it's
Yes.
so exactly what we're talking
Mhm.
about because with launching deeper, I really wanted to start it in 2020 when God revealed it to
Mhm.
me. But I didn't realize until later that I was still dealing with the
Sure.
issues that brought me to the point where I was sitting under the
Absolutely.
tree. And I've really tried to say, what was that
Yeah.
thing? What was that secret that was so different?
Yeah.
And the thing that I realized is that time that I spent meditating, the time that I spent in silence, asking God a question as opposed to talking to God
Sure.
and saying, Lord, I need this, and Lord,
Sure.
what should I do, and where should I go? Or what we typically do is we ask others before we go to God.
Absolutely.
We ask, what should I do? Do you think this is a good
Yeah.
idea? Do you think I should do
Mhm.
this? When should I do it?
Right.
And I think getting counsel from others
Mhm.
is very wise,
Mhm.
but I think that first sort of touch
Mhm.
point should
Mhm.
be going to God
Going yourself.
first.
Going
Yeah.
to him and then going to yourself. Like when you go to
Mm,
him, he's going to talk to you. And so you're able to
yeah.
then press inward with that too.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I also want to share because I think sometimes we hear these things and it's like, it sounds good, but then it's like, how do I start? Like, where do I go? And so I always like to share with people that it's uncomfortable because it's
Mm,
unnatural to how we function. We're used to, let's go on to the next, keep going, even as entrepreneurs, or even if you're working with someone else, right? Or even if you're not working and you
yeah.
have responsibilities, we are socialized to continue to keep going. And so this is in a lot of ways unnatural to
Mm,
our everyday environment. So it can be scary,
yeah.
it can be uncomfortable, and it can be easy for us to say, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so we can start small. It may not be a 2 hour period, like I mentioned. It
Right.
may be, let me take 30 seconds, right? Before I go in the house, right? I pull in the
Right.
driveway,
That's good.
let me just sit, right? And then you can build from there. It's just like, learning how to run a marathon, right? People don't wake up and they've been on the couch eating potato chips and they're like, I'm going
It's-
to run the marathon.
right.
No, you're going to have to train for that, right? Over a period of time.
Absolutely. That is
Yeah.
so good. That's so
Mhm.
good. And just that pause that you
Yeah.
talked about,
Yeah.
that's healthy for your family.
Sure.
We talk about relational
Yep.
intelligence is a big
Mhm.
buzzword that you hear.
Yep.
But, just that pause before you get out of
Mhm.
your car,
Sure.
right? And you
Yes.
go into your home after
Yes.
having a long day
Mhm.
dealing with people. Pause before you
Yes.
walk in the house. The
Mhm.
other thing I think is so important is before you go in the office,
Mhm.
before you start dealing with people, is
Yes.
maybe pause. Because I've known times when you know, I pull up at my
Mhm.
office, I'm anxious about what I have
Mhm.
to deal with, and I rush in there,
Yeah.
and people can sense that and feel that,
Absolutely.
as opposed to sitting in the car,
Mhm.
taking a moment to get
Mhm.
centered. If you're a spiritual person,
Mhm.
Lord, just help me deal with whatever I have to deal
Yeah.
with today.
Yeah.
If you're not that spiritual, it's
Mhm.
just breathing.
Absolutely.
People talk about breathing
There's
techniques.
power in it.
It's power
A
in
lot
it.
of power.
Now, a lot of people that aren't that spiritual,
Mhm.
they don't know that most of those things are biblically based,
Sure.
things that are in the Bible that just
Mhm.
talk about
Mhm.
meditation,
Mhm.
about keeping your thoughts on
Yeah.
positive things.
Mhm.
We hear the buzzword, the universe. I'm speaking affirmations to the
Sure.
universe. But in the Word of God, it talks about
Mhm.
think on those things that are
Yeah.
lovely and
Yes.
pure and just. And
Mhm.
those are just some things to do
Mhm.
that you're talking about
Yeah.
that help people just deal with
Mhm.
if you're an entrepreneur, if
Mhm.
you're a CEO, how to deal with your team.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to be
Absolutely.
more measured. And the one thing, there's this scripture and it talks
Mhm.
about being double minded.
Mm.
And this really hit me. It hit me in a way that's different. And now that I'm sitting down with the doctor,
Mhm.
I want you to give me your
Yeah.
scientific spin
Mhm.
on something that's scriptural
Sure.
based. So in John 1:5-8,
Mhm.
it says, if any of you lacks wisdom,
Mm.
let him ask God, who gives generously to all without
Mm.
reproach, and it will be given him. But let him ask in faith without doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is given and tossed by the wind.
Mm.
For the person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded
Mhm.
man, unstable in all his ways.
Mm.
So we've heard that phrase, being double-minded.
Mhm.
You know, the Lord was really revealed about being double-minded.
Mhm.
So double-minded is not just thinking, you know, on a worldly, a spiritual
Mhm.
mind and a
Mhm.
worldly mind,
Yeah.
or flesh, of thinking from the
Mhm.
flesh, thinking from the man, and then thinking from a spiritual
Mhm.
perspective. Also, double minded in your world is dealing with the conscious and the subconscious
Yes.
mind.
Yes.
Because as we walk through this world,
Mhm.
we battle also
Yeah.
subconscious
Mhm.
things that are just we don't think about,
Yes.
that we've been born, we've been conditioned to,
Mhm.
and that conscious thinking.
Mhm.
And I think it's somewhere I read, and you probably can tell me if this is close to that percentage, but they say 95% of our actions or more are from the subconscious
Mhm.
mind.
Yeah.
5% are from the conscious
Mhm.
mind, which is from awareness.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about launching deeper,
Mhm.
when we talk about walking in this greater purpose God
Yeah.
has called us
Yeah.
to, we're doing that, but our actions are going to be from this subconscious state.
Sure.
And if we're not aware of that, then it's very difficult to
Mhm.
launch deeper in
Mhm.
business and doing things that
Mm.
are scary because our subconscious mind kicks in.
Yeah.
Eh,
Absolutely.
So speak to us a little bit more
Yeah.
about that. And yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have to kind of go back to
Okay.
go forward,
Mm.
right? So think about sometimes like divers, for example, if we think about launching deeper, they kind of do this sort of back and forth, and then they walk forward and they launch forward. And so, oftentimes in the psychological world, we have to go back, meaning that might mean you have to go back and explore some of those experiences where you were 6 and 7 that ultimately are impacting your ability to be able to launch deeper.
Wow.
So let's put this in practical terms. If I grew up in a family and let's say my parents or guardians always said, you're not enough, you have to do more, right? Now I'm 40, 50, 60, and I'm wanting to launch deeper towards where God has me. That voice might still come up, right? You're not enough, you have to do more, you're never
Wow.
going to be good enough, right? So I may say, oh my goodness, here's this opportunity that I know God is calling me to, but there's that voice. And I never dealt with that voice, right? And
Mm.
it just keeps coming up. And so I want to launch. I can see where I'm supposed to go. I've heard clearly.
Yeah.
But that mental piece that I haven't taken the time and the space to explore and to look at and to sit with keeps me stuck. And
Wow.
so we have to look at those thoughts that come up, those cognitions, because our thoughts impact our emotions and our emotions impact our behavior. And our
Mm.
behavior is really what helps us move towards launching deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so good. That is
Mm.
so good because you're so right. Yeah, this did happen to
Mhm.
me, right? You
Yeah.
can say, I grew up and I was constantly told that money doesn't grow on trees.
Mhm. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I'm not an ATM,
Mhm.
you know.
Yes.
So you're subconsciously you're being raised with a scarcity mindset.
Mhm.
Money is limited.
Sure.
It doesn't, you have to work hard for
Mhm.
money. I think a lot of us were told that,
Mhm.
and especially in African American families,
Absolutely.
I mean, the truth and the reality is that you had to work hard for the money, and
Mhm.
you do.
Mhm.
It doesn't grow on trees,
Right.
but when you're constantly being told
Mhm.
you have to work hard
Yeah.
to to become
Mhm.
wealthy. Money doesn't grow on trees.
Mhm.
We're not an ATM.
Mhm.
It's easy for those folks. They
Sure.
have an advantage.
Sure.
Over time
Mhm.
and over years,
Mhm.
that is sort of ingrained
Yes.
in your subconscious mind.
Yes.
So you operate without thinking, just like
Mhm.
me doing my hand like this. I'm
Yeah.
not thinking that I'm doing my hand like this. It's
Right.
just a subconscious action.
Yeah.
It's a habit. It's
Yeah.
something. So so the reality is, this is my reality.
Mhm.
I was born in this
Mhm. Mhm.
situation. The thought, like you say,
Mhm.
that came out of that, the feeling
Right.
is that, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. I have to
Mhm.
work really hard. It's probably going to be harder for me. That kind of thing
Mhm.
is maybe for those people, not
Sure.
for me. And right at that thought there,
Mhm.
that drives behavior.
Yes, it does. And we all have kind of an internal
That's good.
monologue or message that we sort of tell ourselves based on the experiences that we have,
Yeah.
right? It's cold outside. Put a jacket on. When I was young, my mom said, "Go outside. You're going to catch a
Right.
chest cold," right? And I sort of say that in jest, but when we move that to the psychological world of, you have to do more, you have to do more. So then if I'm constantly doing more and running, 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 even when I'm at my breaking point, then
Mm.
now we have depression that could
Wow.
ensue. Now we have anxiety, right? Because internally, my body and my mind is like, Kristie, you can't do more, right?
Right.
But that message that I've always been told, right, that I
Yeah.
subscribe to is saying you have to do more. So then you have this sort of dissonance, and it's like, well, how do I make sense of it? What do I do? And oftentimes, what happens when we don't deal with those messages or learn to shift them a little bit, right?
Mm.
Then we move to the point of breakdown. We just shut down completely. And so, if we can just, again, it kind of goes back to taking that space to
Yeah.
sit with us as a form of self-care,
Yeah.
then we could think about how far we could really launch as individuals
Ah,
and collectively, you
absolutely.
know?
Yeah, that is so powerful.
Mhm.
And that's why I think mindset, mental
Yeah.
wellness is so, so
Yeah.
important, because once habits are built,
Mhm.
it is very difficult to break a
Mhm.
habit. I
Yes.
mean, trust me, it is so difficult
Yes.
to break habits.
Yeah.
So, going back scripturally,
Mhm.
when the word of God says, take every thought captive,
Mm.
that's why
Mm.
it's so
Yeah.
important. If we could, at that thought level,
Mhm.
say, okay, this is my situation. The thoughts that I'm getting from this is I'm not enough. Or
Mhm.
in that great example you gave,
Mm.
I've got to work harder. I've got to
Sure.
work harder.
Mhm.
There are some people that are workaholics,
Yeah.
not because they have a whole lot of work to
Yeah.
do, but because they think if they don't work harder,
Mhm.
they're not going to be successful. They're
Absolutely.
not going to have enough.
Mhm.
So you're working, working,
Yes.
working, and that can bring on depression.
Sure.
That brings on anxiety,
Mhm.
fears, all of those
Mhm.
things. So if we're able to take that thought and say, yes, I understand this was my situation,
Mhm.
but I also understand that if I don't slow down, if I don't
Mhm.
stop this, it's going to turn into a behavior that is unhealthy.
Yes.
Ugh,
I mean, and maybe mom and dad said you always have to function at a 10.
yeah.
And as an adult, the message that you now share with yourself, once you take the space to sit with what those messages are, the message is, I am good enough at a 9. I
Ah,
am still productive. I am amazing. I can still launch deeper, right? At a
right.
9 than at a 10. And so you can learn to shift that narrative
Yeah.
that you've been taught. You can now change that message. And when we change those messages, what we know, again, psychologically, is that our behavior changes and we feel better
And we
emotionally.
and we feel
Yeah.
better. Oh my goodness. I love it. I mean,
Mhm.
I feel like we could probably sit
Yeah.
here all day and just talk about this, but
Yeah.
the one thing that I said I'm committed to do, and the
Mhm.
people that I ever bring on
Sure.
my platform,
Yeah.
is to not just say, this is what you have to do,
Yeah.
this is what you need to
Yeah.
do, but to actually give you steps and give you things that can
Sure.
help move you. So
Mhm.
one of the things that I want my audience to know about is that, for me, we're starting this mindset mastery in business.
Love
So,
it.
you'll see the information on the lower thirds on how to connect with that. But let me tell you, you know, mental wealth, mental health it's the key. I can sit here all day. I can give you all the business tips, all the business hacks. I can tell you give you a blueprint and say, this is how I can save you 10 years. I said that in the last masterclass. Yes, I can tell you what to do to save you 10, 15 years on building your business, sustaining your business, starting your business. But if the mindset isn't right, you'll spend, you have everything that you need to launch deeper, but you won't launch deeper.
Yeah.
You'll hit a ceiling, you'll go but so far. It's like you'll just, like the Israelites and crossing the Red Sea and going into the promised land.
Yeah.
They could see the promised land, but their mindset
Yeah.
was still stuck
Yeah.
back in Egypt.
Are you going to enjoy it?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
times, even though Egypt is worse, we want to go, Egypt is safe. That's where that
that's good.
subconscious
That's
and
good.
that subconscious and conscious mind, because subconsciously, right?
Yeah.
It's because our subconscious mind wants to feel safe and protected. So even though consciously we know Egypt I was a slave in Egypt, our subconscious mind, we were comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even though, hey, I jumped out here, I'm starting my business, I'm starting my, whatever this thing is, I'm going to do this conference. It's scary, right? So you know what? Maybe I won't do it this time.
Right.
I'll wait. I'll put it off.
Right.
But I want to tell you guys, one of the main reasons that I wanted to sit down with Dr. Norwood is because she has something that I think everyone needs to attend. In your walk on launching deeper. Okay, she has this. It's called the Exhale Summit.
Yeah.
I'm going to let her tell you about it, but it's March 10th through the 11th. I just personally want to say, I know I'm going to be there. And, I want all those people that are connected to me that believe in launching deeper, I want them to lean into it, because my goal is to help you launch deeper, to go beyond this place, to walk in this purpose that God has called you to walk into. But I would be fooling myself or not doing a disservice to my people if I said you can do it without dealing with mindset. So Dr. Norwood, tell us about your summit.
Yeah.
And we'll have all the information for you to register and jump in. From what I've heard about it, it's gonna sell out. So, I'm telling you.
that.
Yes. So tell us about it.
You are giving me chills, because this, I really believe all things work together, and all people work together for what God wants for us, which is really, this one is just for women. We're not trying to leave the men out, but this one is just for women. And so with the Exhale Summit, it'll be, again, March 10th and the 11th in Norfolk. Waterside Marriott. And so the spirit of it is really for women to come together for a day and a half, to take that intentional pause, that exhale that we're talking about. And so Friday evening will be an opportunity for us to connect. We'll hear from some women who will share their journeys of healing, of experiencing joy, of emotional vulnerability, right? Some of the pieces that we sometimes struggle with as women, but that can move us towards launching deeper, and towards being all that God really has for us. And then Saturday is sort of the meat and potatoes, as they say in the food world, of everything. And so Saturday we'll have some breakout sessions on how do we change our mindset, right? How do we in practice sort of juggle, right? If I'm an entrepreneur, if I'm involved in the community, if I have children or other responsibilities, how do I juggle all these things, right? We'll also, we have an individual from Teladoc who will be coming. And so she's going to talk a little bit about, particularly as women of color, in workspaces, how do we sort of navigate that, but also take care of the holistic self of of who we are. And so we're also going to sprinkle in some physical wellness too. So
I love it.
yes, so we will have some pieces on body positivity and some yoga sessions and Chair One fitness. And so it's just going to be an exciting time of learning. And for those who are not familiar, Alex L is huge. She is huge. She does breath work. She does healing work, meditation practices. She is a New York Times bestseller.
Wow.
Yes. And so she is going to be with us for 2 hours, and we are going to get to talk with her. And she's going to do a therapeutic healing writing class for us. And so it is. I think God is just really going to bless this time. And after that, we will get together as sisters. We have some therapists who will lead our sister circle. So we have space to practice and to process everything that we've gained. And then after that, you will have an opportunity to stay connected with the Women Quarterly as well. So it's a day and a half, but it's going to continue throughout the year. And you will leave changed, but you will also have a network of sister friends who you can stay connected with, who can reinforce everything you've been exposed to.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And like you say, you talk about chills.
Yeah.
I get chills because so often we want to do it ourselves.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
We feel like, okay, I have to do the work myself in closed doors.
Yes.
Then I can deal with other people.
Right.
But creating community
Yes.
is so important.
Yes.
I tell people, and with any other programs, listening here today, there are 3 types of people. There are people that are going to hear this and say, okay, and turn off.
Sure.
Oh, this was good information. Then there are other people that are going to say, you know what? This is good information. I see they have mindset mastery in business course that I can sign up for. I can go to this Excel summit, but you know what? I think I'm going to take all this information. I'm going to go home and I'm going to try this myself. That's what a lot of people do. But I believe tuning into you're launching deeper audience. You are that person that says, you know what? I am going to get into that mindset mastery business class because I want to launch deeper, but I know in order to launch deeper, I can't do it without the help of community and without the help of a coach or consultant. And not only that, but I am going to sign up and register for this conference because this is 2023.
It is.
This is going to be my breakout year. This is going to be the best year ever.
Yes.
God is going to do something incredible, amazing in this year. I am called to serve others.
Oh, that's good.
And you know what? I'm going to serve others because I want to serve others as healthy as I can serve them. I, myself, as a leader, whether you're in ministry or business, I don't want to be bleeding on my people. So I'm going to the summit and I am going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to glean from these women and I'm going to create a community of people that are pursuing wellness and changed mindsets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. And faith without works is dead,
dead.
right? It's like, Lord, please don't let me have high blood pressure. Okay, well, sis, we can't have the McDonald's every day. Like, please, Lord, I don't want to be depressed anymore. Well, you're going to have to do some work, right? And so faith without works is dead. And this is a step in doing the work for yourself. If no one else decides to go with you, you can do it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just touching on what you just said, that is absolutely right. You cannot say it and not do the work because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. But hey, we think it does.
Right.
So this year we want to stop doing those things that haven't worked
for sure
for the last 5 years.
For sure.
And we definitely want to do this, but I'm excited. I cannot wait for this summit. It's just seems like it's power packed. And so do all of the above. Get in the Mindset Mastery program and definitely be in the house. Now, I don't know if you're offering it virtually or is it just in person?
It is. It is just in person. And I know you have some folks who may be outside of Virginia. I even got word the other day, somebody's coming from New York, someone's coming from Texas. And so, we welcome ladies from everywhere. And I do want to say this, it's $135. It's a nonprofit. So
Yeah.
this money doesn't go back to me or my pockets. It's just really to put on an amazing experience for the women and impactful. But if I never want money to be a cost for people.
Yeah.
So we've already had people who have said organizations that they want to donate tickets. So
I love
if
it.
cost is a challenge, just reach out to us. You'll see our information on the flyer and we will work through it. If that means I have to pay for it myself, I want women to get what they need so they can heal and launch deeper.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Kristie, just give us your website
Sure.
or just so that we're going to have all that on the lower thirds, but I definitely want you to just shout that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the website is www.exhale, EXHALE, summit, SUMMIT.org. And all the information is on there. You can reserve a room, the itinerary, we can't give you everything. You have to come to get everything, but the itinerary is on there. The team information is on there, the purpose. And so we're just excited.
Yes, yes. And definitely connect with launchingdeeper.com
Yes.
because and you want to sign up for the newsletter because we'll be featuring you in our upcoming newsletter. So the information will also be there. That comes out every Monday.
Okay.
So we tell people a lot, check your spam because sometimes we'll go to your spam folder, but you definitely stay connected. It'll be information on how to connect with Dr. Kristie Norwood, how to stay connected with Launching Deeper. We say, my thing is we are going to pursue purpose and prosper, but not just financially. We want to also pursue purpose, prosper relationally, spiritually, mentally, in all areas, because like you said, a whole bunch of money, there's this new thing about getting the bag. Well, I don't want the bag and I'm crazy, or I'm depressed, or I'm sitting here lonely. And that is just, we don't want that. We want each and every one of you guys to walk in your fullness of your purpose. But thank you, Dr. Kristie.
Yes, thank you.
I just love this. This is good. Like I said, I could keep talking, but we won't do it. So guys, we love you. Thank you again for tuning into our mini masterclass on mindset and pursuing your purpose. Thank you.